Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany, and I'm an admissions representative with Kansas State University Online. And I want to start by thanking everyone for joining us tonight to learn more about our online Professional Master of Business Administration program. I'm joined by the program director, Susie Otten, and Susie will be spending the next 30 or so minutes giving us a presentation about this program, and then we'll spend the last 10 to 15 minutes answering questions. Throughout the duration of this presentation, we will be monitoring the chat feature and answering questions as they are being asked. Some of your questions may be saved until the end for Susie to answer. If you could now please take a few seconds to locate the chat feature and answer the question you'll see on your screen that's going to be on the following slide, we would love to learn a little bit more about you. I'll give you a second to do so now. As those chats are coming in, I also wanted to let you know that we will be sharing a recording of this presentation following the webinar. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Susie.
Thank you, Brittany, and thank you for joining us this evening. Just a little bit about myself, since you're putting information about yourselves in the chat. I am a graduate of K-State. I've lived in Manhattan since I was 10 years old, and so Manhattan's been home for a very, very long time. I'll just leave it at that. I've been employed. K-State is my first and only employer, although this is the fourth position I've held at the university. And so I can honestly say that I bleed purple, and I believe in the quality of the program that I'm going to be speaking with you about tonight. And I get really excited about it just because I never envisioned myself being sort of in a sales role, but that's pretty much what talking about this program is I'm going to try to sell you on the fact that K-State's online MBA program is really for you. And one of the fun things about this career is that I get to travel abroad. Our students, I'll go a little bit more into this in a little bit, but our students are required to participate in an international business trip. And so I was 53 years old when I got my first passport. And so now I want to use it all the time. So COVID's really kind of messed with my schedule. Some of the things that I'm going to talk about tonight are K-State's accreditation status. And honestly, when you're looking, I know that K-State may not be the only program that you're looking at. And so I hope to at least put some things in perspective for you and encourage you to get similar information from other programs that you're looking at. And hopefully you'll find that K-State checks all the boxes for you and that you feel very comfortable joining our program. But one of the first things we'll talk about is the accreditation status of our program. Cost, which is a very important factor when you're considering your graduate education, what the course format is like, how flexible the program can be, the many support services that even though you're online, you would be eligible for as a K-State student. And finally, why K-State's program is superior to the rest. So let's move on. So K-State is very proud of the fact that we're accredited by AACSB, which is the Association to Advance Colleges and Schools of Business. It's the highest accreditation any college or school of business can receive, and fewer than 5% of programs worldwide hold this accreditation. And an even smaller number hold AACSB accreditation in both business and accounting programs. And so K-State's College of Business has both. So that just is a sign for you that we have to meet some very rigorous standards set by that accrediting body. And once we get it, we have to work very hard to keep it. It's not like once you get it, you're in. You have to continually improve and invest resources in your program to keep the content current and to keep the information fresh for the students and to satisfy our students, that give you the education that you're craving to advance your career. So the cost for K-State's courses, all PMBA classes are $2,500 each, plus you will pay a program fee to cover your most of your travel expenses for the international trip. So your textbooks and other required course materials, such as case studies for textbooks, and for finance, we even give you a financial calculator. And those items are yours to keep. You can sell them on Amazon.com or eBay if you want when you're done. But your tuition does cover the cost of all required course materials. And we can work very well with any employer tuition benefits that you may be eligible for. Some programs or some employers are very generous. It would cost you, if you decided to move through the program as quickly as possible, you would take 5 classes per calendar year, which ends up being $12,500. So some companies only provide $5,000. So we can tailor your program so that you can maximize your tuition benefit from your employer and minimize your out-of-pocket expenses. We do also provide scholarships. You can apply every fall and every spring for funding for the next semester through Global Campus, as well as we do have some scholarships that will help with the expenses of the international business trip as well. But then finally, look at your graduate program as an investment in your future and in your career. It's a lot of money, and so we want you to feel comfortable in the program that you pursue and that you find that it's going to help position you for advancement in your career later on. So the format of the program is all the lectures are pre-recorded, so you won't have to be live at any time for your coursework. The lectures will be loaded. We use the Canvas platform where you can log on. You'll see your course syllabus, your course assignments, and as well as the lectures that the faculty members load into your Canvas course. We usually recommend that students listen to the lectures and do the readings early in the week so that you could spend the remainder of your free time working on assignments that are usually due at midnight on Sunday every week. There are also times where we do ask you to be on live on campus, and but not for any of your coursework. So you'll want to verify. Some programs want you to come for 2 weeks a year. We're not like that. You will be live when you come to orientation, which is a 2-day orientation here in Manhattan on the Manhattan campus. And then when you do your international business trip, those are the 2 times you're required to be live anywhere. And then, of course, we hope that you'll come to commencement and walk the stage and celebrate your accomplishments, because that's really a great day for us to help celebrate you as well. And with our program, you're able to make adequate progress by taking 2 courses per semester, because our classes are set up in 8-week sessions. So you would take 1 class the first half of the semester, the other class the second half, so that you get 6 hours completed in a semester. And so taking 1 class at a time, working full time, maybe attending to the needs of your family, that's usually plenty to keep you busy. Some students have tried to double up, and it is doable, but you will spend probably about, I would say 12 hours per week on average per class. So if you were trying to take 2 classes simultaneously in 1 week, 8-week session, you'd be spending about 25 to 30 hours just doing homework. So that's almost another full-time job. So that's why we tend to encourage you to do 1 at a time. You will have an opportunity for peer-to-peer interactions as well. We do threaded discussion boards where your professor will post a topic or a question that you will have to write an original response to. And then within that week, you'll have to respond to at least 2 other classmates' posts, so that there are some back and forth discussion while it's not live. People can follow along and see where the discussion is going and the kinds of examples that you're able to provide from your work experience that will help enrich the experiences of your classmates who may be working in a different field. So you're not, even though you're online, you're not really going to be cut off from other people. And I think that's a good feature of our program as well. Our program is flexible. I mentioned earlier that I can tailor your program to maximize your tuition benefit. Most people want to get done as fast as possible, which takes about 2 to 2.5 years. But you can take as long as 6. So most people don't want to take that long, but that has helped a couple of people who have experienced a couple childbirths while they're in the program, or a health issue, or needing to care for a parent. You're not going to get kicked out of our program if you can't enroll every session. So we can talk about ways to structure your program so that you can feel successful but also accommodate what's happening in your life. We do have a rolling admission, so that means there are 5 entry points in our program. Right now, we're accepting admissions for as early as summer. Summer school, the summer term starts June 7th, but you can start in August, October, January, or March, and our next session actually starts Monday. So students are gearing up for some of them for their 2nd or their 4th class this year, depending when they started. And then I already mentioned, I jumped ahead on the required live presence. I will say that some of the faculty will have live chats weekly. I know finance does, marketing 810 does, operations and supply chain management. And that's a time for students to ask questions of the professor that maybe they're not totally tracking something that was covered in a lecture. And so that gives the faculty member an opportunity to explain to the group, others who may be struggling with that concept as well. And so that students can also ask questions live. They do record those sessions. So it's really helpful if we can get a handful of students live instead of everybody going, oh, well, I'll just catch the recorded session, because if nobody participates, there's nobody asking questions. So it's kind of a two-way street. So you won't lose points or gain points by participating, but you may gain extra knowledge that you might not have had access to. And then we also provide elective. Our online students are required to take only one elective, because most of you have been working in your field of in your degree area that you earned your bachelor's in. And so we don't really require you to have a concentration like we do with the campus students. Often the campus students are fresh out of their bachelor's program and don't have the enriching professional experiences that most of our PMBA students have. You are required to have 3 years of full-time post-baccalaureate work experience to be eligible for our program. You can be a graduate of any accredited undergraduate institution. You don't have to be a business grad to join our program, but there are some classes that you're required to have it under your belt, and I'll get to those in just a minute. But you can develop an area of concentration if you wish to do so by taking 2 electives instead of 1, and then marrying it up with one of your core classes to give you 9 hours that comprise that concentration. And then support services that you can avail yourself of. I would be your advisor the entire time you're in the program. So I'm not only director of the program, but I am your academic advisor. I can be reached usually around the clock. I keep kind of crazy sleeping hours, so don't be surprised if you email me at 9 and get a response within the hour. Sometimes I check email before I go to bed. Our faculty do the same. We ask that our faculty respond to students within 24 hours, but often students find that they have gotten a response within 5 hours. If they're up at midnight emailing the professor, often they'll have a response by 6 o'clock in the morning. So they do try very hard to be responsive to students. We do also offer professional development opportunities for online students. Due to COVID, actually, we've gotten very adept at doing virtual events. So our advisory council, the Graduate Studies Advisory Council, meets twice a year. Our campus MBA students get to interact with those folks live under normal conditions. But we've figured out that it will be beneficial to our PMBA students who don't live close by to campus to also be able to participate. So we're looking ahead at having virtual participation available for our online students. And then also with the PMBA orientation that is offered every August here in Manhattan, the second day of orientation is spent in a professional development workshop, and the topic changes each year. We've done seminars on multi-generational management issues like millennials supervising baby boomers, for example, in the workplace, and what kinds of opportunities there are to learn more about each of those groups and trying to work together. We've done Six Sigma white belt training. If you've ever heard of Lean Six Sigma, and that prepares you to go on for your yellow belt and your green belt. So just a couple of examples. And then we also do we call it GradCon, where there are informational lectures done by professionals that, trying to think, we had a data analytics presentation this last time we did GradCon. We also talk about resumes and opportunities for showcasing and your talents, developing your LinkedIn profile, so that if you are eventually finding yourself in the job market again, then you'll be prepared to take advantage of those opportunities. And then we have an executive mentor program that our online students are eligible for, where we match executives that don't live anywhere near you. Even our campus students don't get a mentor that lives near them. But it's an opportunity for you to maybe work with somebody who's doing some of the things you eventually see yourself doing, and can be a sounding board for you outside the company that you're already working. It can be somebody who's more neutral, that maybe you can be a little more self-disclosing than you feel like you can with somebody within your current work environment. And so those mentorship matches are for 1 year, and the only requirement is that you interact at least once a month during those 12 months. And that can be done by Zoom. We've had students flown to where their mentor lives for networking as well. Just luck of the draw if you get that kind of a mentor. Then we also have career services available within our college, within the College of Business, and also with the university. But we have a very dedicated career services staff that will work for all of our students, online and in person. We have career coaches that span marketing, management, finance, and accounting, I think. And there's also some supply chain management as well. So if you are looking for career advice, we can easily hook you up with one of our career coaches to get that advice as well. And these are all services you don't pay extra for. These are all available to you. So finally, to get into K-State's program, our full program is 36 hours or 12 courses. All the courses are completed online except for that international experience. As I said earlier, you're not required to have an undergraduate business degree, but we do want all of our applicants to have completed 2 economics courses, 2 statistics courses at the undergraduate level, or 1 at the graduate level, and at least have taken general calculus and linear algebra. Sometimes it's called business calculus or business math. But those are the core classes that we want you to have, so that you're not feeling at a loss or unprepared for the upper level econ classes and the marketing research that you'll be doing in Marketing 810. And then we can waive the GMAT for applicants who have at least 3 years of professional experience. And aren't you lucky that you're required to have 3 years? So most everybody is waived out of the GMAT. So that might be a relief for some of you. And then we can also waive the application fee for those with a 3.5 minimum GPA. And we look at the last 60 hours because we find that a lot of students, and I'll say me, I fit this example, do much better once they're in their core courses. I can tell you, I didn't care about political science. I didn't care about the rise of Europe as a freshman. I was a much better student my junior and senior years than I was the first year and a half to 2 years. And then the bonus is you get to see the world on this international business trip. These trips are, if we're, usually 10, they can be as long as 14 days, but most of them tend to be more like 10 days. And that's from departure from your home to return to your home. It's not 10 days on the ground plus travel. Now there is a trip coming up in 2022 that might be the full 14 days if they decide to go to Thailand and Vietnam. If they just do one, it'll be a 10-day trip. But if they do both countries, it'll probably be 14 days total. And they're structured as business trips. So you're going to be visiting at least usually 4 to 5 businesses that represent the major exports of the country that you're visiting. And you get to interact with C-suite executives, usually the CFO or the CEO of the company. I know when we were in Italy, the CEO of Telecom Italia spent three hours with us, which was really amazing because she was incredibly busy. But you get to hear from them all about the business concepts that you've been learning about in the program as they're applied to an international business environment. You get to hear the things that go into their strategy and their decision making, how they decide to launch a new product, or how they decide when it's time to diversify because they may be losing part of their market. You get to hear about how they value their employees. Another Italy example, we were at this textile mill where they were weaving the fabrics for the next fall's fashion line. And you think manufacturing is such a hard life here in the US, but they had a 0.5% turnover every year in employment. So it's just crazy unheard of. And so getting to hear about how they make it a place that people want to continue to come to work at was really refreshing to hear. You'll do some cultural activities as well. So you visit museums. In Taiwan, we went to a Buddhist monastery. We also visited a vacation resort at Sun Moon Lake, where we got to kind of experience their hospitality industry. And then you also get free time built into the schedule so that you can explore on your own. And if you have a spouse or partner that would like to accompany you on the trip, they are welcome to come along. As long as space is available. I will tell you the Taiwan trip gets really full, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But it's most people do it toward the end of their program, so it's kind of a nice way to celebrate your accomplishments and get ready for graduation, and a nice way to reward the person who has supported you the most as you're working your way through the program. Your partner won't have to pay tuition, but they will pay the same program fee that will cover, and that fee covers hotel, an opening and closing banquet, any ticketed events like to museums or national parks that we go to. We do coach transportation predominantly, where we have our own bus and bus driver. We have English speaking guides. So your fee covers all of those expenses plus their tips and gratuity. The other part you will have to come up with is airfare from the airport that's closest to you. So we have the students buy all their own tickets, and then we meet at the airport and begin our travels together. The reason why Taiwan is such a popular trip is, first of all, it's relatively inexpensive. The program fee for that trip runs about $1,500, but and then plus airfare. So the total cost of the trip is usually around $2,500 or so. But there is a very good scholarship that goes along that pretty much anybody who applies gets it. And it's specifically for Taiwan. We have 2 benefactors here in Manhattan who want to encourage students to get their international experience in their home country, which they're very proud of. So they provide very generous scholarships. I think the minimum scholarship last time we went was $1,000. So made the trip about $500 plus airfare. And that's a pretty sweet deal. So when you're thinking about your options for getting your MBA, here are the reasons why I think K-State has a good program for you. The program was designed for people who are working full-time, so you can maintain full-time employment and still earn your degree in a reasonable amount of time. You can take as little as 2 years. Certain majors can have classes waived. For example, somebody who majored in operations and supply chain management will have that class. They won't have to take Management 810. So that already reduces your course load to 11 classes. We've had people who were double majors in accounting and finance who were able to waive accounting 810 and finance 815, leaving them with a 30-hour program. So there are ways and I'm happy to do a transcript analysis to let you know if you qualify for any of those course waivers. And while I'm not ignorant of the fact that $30,000 is a hefty price tag for a degree, we are on the lower end of similarly accredited programs. So you could go to UT Austin online program and pay $100,000 for the same AACSB accredited degree. So we feel like we're still high quality, even though we're a lower price. And you can learn from faculty who have been in the industry and who can help you apply the content that you're learning to your everyday work environment. Our goal is that you're learning concepts that you can use right away, that it's not something that 2 years from now, when you're done with your degree, you will use this information. No, it's something that will make sense to you now and will be usable now. And then finally, the international competency and development that you receive going on the international business trip. First of all, it's an incredible experience, but it's also, I think, shows how small the world really is and how unique and how valuable different cultures and how our differences can really bring us together. And so that's why I love K-State's program, and it's something that I am excited to talk about. And I could keep going on, but I've probably talked your ear off, and I'm happy to consider questions now if you want. Oops, I forgot to take that off. So if you need to apply, just go to you can email online at ksu.edu, or you can also just go to www.kstateedu/online-mba. And that will take you to the information page if you want to go back and do a little bit more deeper dig into what we can offer you. So, do you have questions for me or for Brittany or Diane? Brittany, are you seeing any questions in the chat?
Yeah, I'm going to allow Brandon to unmute to ask his question.
Okay.
Hey, Susie, how are you? Hey, great webinar. So basically, 30 grand, 2 years. What was the cost per credit hour? Just so I can make sure I'm doing the
Well,
math.
we don't break it down by credit hour. It's 2,500 per course. So I mean, if you
Okay.
divided it, it would be 833 per credit hour.
2,500 bucks per course.
Yeah.
12 courses.
2,500 even, and there are no additional fees. It's going to be billed as $2,500 tuition. And sometimes that makes a difference to employers who are reimbursing. They don't want to reimburse for fees.
Okay.
You're going to be just charged straight tuition.
I talked to somebody there when I hit one of the info buttons in the last month or so. So the classes are about every 8 weeks, I think is what I heard. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So
they don't run
half, second half.
Okay, so it's not concurrent. You're not taking like 2 classes per semester. It's just one at a time every 8 weeks.
Yeah, you take 2 per semester, but one at a time. So
Okay.
you take one the first half and one the second half.
Okay.
So you can get 5 classes done in a calendar year.
Okay.
Because if you take one in the summer.
Okay, makes sense. What's just, anecdotal feedback from people in the program or what you witness, time commitment I'm a sales manager at the technology company I work for. So I'm just curious what the, time commitment is between, attending the online classes and then coursework, study, tests, papers, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so we estimate that you can spend 12 to 15 hours per week per class, maybe less if it's something that you are really familiar with. So I'm not a math confident person. So I will tell you that Finance 815, I would probably be spending more like 24, 25 hours a week, just because I have to be very slow and methodical with math. I can do it, I just don't enjoy it. But business ethics, managing the triple bottom line, I feel pretty confident I could do it probably in about 8 to 10 hours a week, just because I'm a strong writer. I'm very logical. So, you play to your strengths a little bit, I guess is what I'm saying. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that does. I just wanted to get a sense of, time commitment. So I guess it would probably vary by class.
Yeah, I would say
skill set, et cetera.
Yeah, because even some of the faculty, their lectures are chunked differently. So you may have 5 lectures to watch, but it will be a total of 30 minutes, for example, because they chunk the information and then want you to read or want you to do an assignment, that kind of thing. So, that varies a little bit also. But those lectures are available for you to watch anytime. I mean, if you're a morning person, my husband would probably do all of his lecture watching and reading at 4:00 in the morning, and then before he goes to work, and then at night he would do the assignment, for example, maybe spend another hour in the evening, just because that's his productive time.
Okay, I hadn't thought about that. So so the classes are on demand. They're not 7 p.m. to 8:30 Tuesdays and Thursdays per se.
Yeah, you will not be live. So you will structure your week so that you can get all those lectures watched, your chapters read, and your assignment done. Your assignment will be due. Usually they're all due by midnight on Sunday. Dr. Shu in Management 810 will give extra credit if you turn it in early, though. So
that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, we still had to spend an arm and a leg on textbooks. My 6th grader, everything's on Chromebooks these days down here in Dallas. So how does a professional MBA work these days? Is it all online? Are we got to buy textbooks for some of these classes for finance?
So you won't have to buy anything. All your textbooks are provided for you. Some of the classes use the digital textbook. we have managing the triple bottom line businesses starting Monday. And so students had the option, but they had to tell me early if they wanted a hard copy textbook sent to them or if they wanted a digital book. And about half and half wanted one form over the other. So worked out pretty well. And so I shipped those out. In fact, I have to get them in the mail, the hard copy books in the mail tomorrow, so that they have them by the weekend.
All right. Well, perfect. Thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
Sure. Let me know if you have any others. And as I said, you can email me if you're curious about whether you're eligible for admission. I'm happy to do a pre-application analysis for you. You can send me your unofficial transcripts and your current resume, and I'm happy to go through and look to see if you qualify for any course waivers, like I'd mentioned earlier, and do a draft program of study if you'll tell me when you're thinking you might want to get started so that you could see the course sequencing. And it's always nice to see a projected graduation date. I usually do the tightest schedule so that you're done as quickly as possible, but I'm happy to modify that, like I said earlier, to match any tuition reimbursement program that you're eligible for. And, you know, unfortunately, graduate students don't get the opportunities for Pell Grants like undergraduates do. Those are totally reserved for first bachelor's degrees. So it's either scholarships, tuition assistance from your employer, or student loans. So.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I'll reach out to you offline.
Okay. How are we doing? Anybody else? Are you curious about any of our upcoming trips? We are going back to Taiwan in January, which, depending on COVID, might get pushed to March, unfortunately. But I think that's our next trip. We're supposed to go to South Korea in August, but we don't think the university is going to be allowing us to travel. And so that's been interesting for our students trying to graduate. We did not delay anybody's graduation because they couldn't travel. And so in January, we did a virtual trip to Costa Rica. And the faculty member was actually very innovative in lining up those CFOs, CEOs, where they did live Zoom. Now, those were live sessions. That's unusual for the PMBA program, but if you go on the trip, you're going to be live too. So we figured it was okay, an okay trade-off. But they got to actually interact on Zoom with these individuals and hear about their businesses, get the same content they would have had they been able to travel to Costa Rica. They did some virtual tours of pineapple fields, coffee fields, and how they go through production. They did a coffee hour. They were sent real Costa Rican coffee beans and some desserts, some chocolates. And so they had a coffee hour and coffee talk. And then they did a cooking lesson live with somebody. So not the same as being there, but they were able to learn more about the culture, which is the real goal of the Genba 875 class. So, but we are planning to go to London and Brussels in May 2022. And in January 2023 is that Vietnam and possibly Thailand trip. So I'm getting really excited for things to go back to normal because those are just phenomenal experiences.
Hi, Suji, this is Upkar. Are you able to hear me?
I'm sorry?
Are you able to hear me, Suji? This is Upkar. I have some questions.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm completely out of touch from the study. You know, it has been almost 20 years of working experience for IT company in various roles, and now I'm heading a delivery for large accounts. My first question is, since I'm out of touch from the study from long years, I had done my engineering in electronics and communication 20 years back. And after that, I have not got chance to do the actual study. I had done a couple of
Sure.
certification, but again, that's almost 80,
So
90
are
years
you
back.
nervous about returning to school?
Yeah, that's
often what I suggest to people, especially if you've never taken an online class, is there are free courses offered through a company called Coursera, COURSERA.org. And you can sign up for these classes. They're taught just like 4-credit classes, but you can take them for free, take tests and quizzes. And so I often say, if you're worried about being able to do statistics again, just take a Coursera class, or econ. If you want to refamiliarize yourself, you could go through a microeconomics undergraduate course free of charge.
okay.
You could also look at lectures on Khan Academy, KHAN Academy.org. And these are both free resources. And sometimes when you're in a class and you just need a refresher to break down one concept, Khan Academy is really good, because you don't have to sift through a whole class. You can find lectures just on that topic. So that's also a free way to enhance your knowledge. But the Coursera, I would highly recommend, especially if you're nervous. And then
it's not like a nervous. We do classes for the work, and I'm pretty familiar with all online courses. But all those are very short courses and unrelated to the work, right?
They do move fast.
Yes, but this is a commitment for 2 years and in between work. So I was just trying to understand, is there any kind of a relationship if you have more years of experience and you get some waivers on your credit?
For your work experience?
Yes.
I think where that can help you is, let's say you didn't have a second statistics class, for example, but you've been doing work that's required you to demonstrate strong quantitative skills and data management. We could waive that prerequisite for you. Work experience would not waive you out of any of the courses in the MBA program.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Good questions, though. If there are no other questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Brittany or Diane if you have questions, but certainly take advantage of the pre-application screening that I can do for you if you have it, just so that you can see what you're committing to. You might be pleasantly surprised. And Brittany, are we giving application waivers?
Yeah.
So that's another benefit. You don't even have to have a 3.5 GPA to qualify for an application waiver, since you participated in tonight's webinar. So score.
Yeah, so I just want to thank you, Susie, for that wonderful presentation, as well as thank everyone for joining us here tonight. If you are ready to apply, please visit our website at online.ksu.edu and select how to apply for detailed instructions. As a reminder, everyone who is registered for this webinar will be receiving a recording via email as soon as it is available. And finally, if you have any additional questions that we didn't cover, like Susie said, you can reach out to her or Diane or myself, and we'll be happy to help you out. I also, like Susie mentioned, want to make sure everybody knows that we do have application fee waivers available to individuals who attended tonight. So when you are ready to apply, please email us at online@ksu.edu, and we will provide you with a code.
Thank you so much. hope to talk with you individually.
Thank you, Susie. Have a good night, everyone.